Good morning. It's just a audio check. I'm audible. Fine. An audio check. I hope I'm audible. Can you hear me? This is just a test to make sure that everything is working. Hopefully, you're able to see me and you're able to hear me well.
Talent Tribe Consulting International, enabling global automotive talent for the future of mobility. The global automobile industry is at a defining moment. Electric vehicles, software-defined cars, sustainable supply chains, yet across regions, Europe, North America, Asia-Pacific, one challenge is common: the shortage of skilled automotive talent. Experienced ICE talent is retiring faster than it can be replaced. EVs demand new skills: battery systems, power electronics, software, safety, ESG compliance. The problem is no longer hiring, it's readiness, relevance, and scale. At Talent Tribe Consulting International, we address global auto talent gaps through a multi-stakeholder ecosystem approach. We work with academia to align curriculum with real-world automotive and EV requirements. We collaborate with OEMs and manufacturers to design role-specific, future-ready skill pathways, reducing time to productivity. We partner with NGOs and skilling organizations to build inclusive and scalable pipelines, bringing new, diverse talent into the industry. And we support reskilling, enabling existing ICE professionals to transition confidently into the EV and digital future. The result? Job-ready talent, resilient supply chains, and a workforce prepared for the next decade of mobility.
Yeah, hello and good morning. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. I hope I'm audible and I'm sure you can see me all right. Um, just take a few more minutes to make sure that everyone's connected and you're able to hear me well. And should you need to make any changes to your display, and if you wanted to make changes to your audio systems, you might as well do that now. So a few minutes before we really get on with the program and we'll get this started. So allow me 2 minutes and then we'll be fine. So I'm hoping that one suggestion is that please watch this on a full screen. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, watch it on a full screen because we're going to be putting some slides up, and then for you to be reading through those little fonts, it'll be wiser for you to have that on a full screen. All right, so you're almost there. Give me one more minute and we are going to get this started. So I hope everyone's able to hear me all right and watch the video stream well through your computers. Okay, so good morning and let's get this started. Thanks for taking the time to be with us, to be with me today for a webinar on identifying and addressing global shortage of skills within the automotive sector. And that is the theme for today's presentation. I'll be talking to you through slides and I'll be sharing my insights into what I think is a problem and what could possibly be a solution. So that's how we're going to address that. So those of you who are watching this on YouTube and Facebook, if you want to ask any questions, please type as a comment. You know, the YouTube, there's a space for you to do your comments. So on Facebook, you've got a space for you to do your comments. So if you do that, and then we will be able to bring that up on, and then we'll be able to answer your questions. And already Joe has confirmed that everything is working well by way of that. So without wasting much time, I'm going to do go to the slides now, and then we'll take it over from there. And all right, so here we go. Welcome, as I've already said. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. It's great to have you with us. And as I said, today's session is all about uh, talent shortages within the automotive sector in the global space. So that's what you mean. So that's a slightly different. We know about the shortages potentially within India, but we slightly want to look at how are these skills that's going to pan up within the global scenario. All right. So does anyone have an idea what is this picture? I like to start with the trivia. So the way that you can engage with me is by responding by way of your, like I said, comments. Type down your comments and that will pop up on the screen. So uh, trivia for you. What is the building that you see behind the logo welcome? Does anyone know? So if your fastest fingers, you remember who wants to be a billionaire? Fastest fingers first. So if you know, type it quickly so that we know what that building is. Anyway, I won't waste much time. If you're not able to be that quick, that is fine. So the building that you see is the Madras Central Station. That's behind the welcome. So this is way back long, long ago. It's no longer you can recognize that the name has changed. Nevertheless, so we'll move on. So question is, why did I put that picture up? Then an old version of Chennai. The trivia is not that. The trivia is when did Chennai first start manufacturing cars? The question is, when did India first started manufacturing cars? That's not the question. The question is, when did Chennai first start manufacturing cars? Does anyone know? And also, which car brand was that? What someone respond? Yeah, someone said it's Central. Yes, it is Central, Mike. Thank you. But we move on to the next trivia question, and this will line up to what the presentation is all about. The next question is, when did Chennai first start manufacturing cars and what is the brand? Does anyone know? I'm 60 plus, so I know this very well. Um, I'm sure people around my age, if you're logged in, you would know. Take a guess. Which was the first car that was manufactured in Chennai? We are in the automotive sector, and I'm hoping that many of those that have logged in have got something or the other to do with. I've got Pius who's saying it's Hindustan Motors. Unfortunately, not Pius, not Hindustan Motors. And someone says ambassadors. No, ambassador was never manufactured in Chennai. So um, another 10 more seconds. Anyone wants to go? Mike also says ambassador. Not really. Hmm, it's learning for me. Like, either I'm older than most people here, but again, uh, without wasting much time, I will move on. So I'm not getting the right answer. The right answer is Standard Motors. I don't know whether you've seen those cars. The last ones that they came out was the Gazer, and then the fantastic Standard 2000, the Rover cars, if you know, and those were the cars that were there. So, yeah, yeah. So it is Standard Motors. I'm moving on to give you the idea there. Morris, by the way, yes. Morris is also a possible answer. I'm not going to say no. All right. So let's get this going. The first cars that were manufactured in Chennai was in 1948 by Standard Motors Private Limited. And those of you who know Vandalur now, those days there was no zoo or anything. Vandalur is where they had the factory. Standard Motors, great cars. People used to pay in advance, wait for them. Unfortunately, had a sad demise. So it goes way back to 1948. I don't think anyone in this group was ever born. So it was, and then came what is now known as Ashok Leyland, yeah, and Tiruvatiyur and Ennur. So we still have those. Fortunately, Ashok Leyland is still running, which is active. And also just around that time, Morris Minor, I think it was Joe who mentioned Morris Minor is right, 1950. But they were not manufacturing cars; they were manufacturing horse-drawn coaches, rickshaws, and later assembling 4 trucks. So that is the history of in the car manufacturing in Chennai. It's great for me to have contributed something because most of the people here had no idea it looks like, or you've not been responding to my question. So Chennai had a very strong legacy with regards to manufacturing cars. We're not talking about the Sri belt and all of that's happening now. We've been manufacturing cars for a very, very long time. The Champion, the Geyser, the Standard 10. We made vans, we made cars, we made luxury cars like the Standard 2000 Rover. I think that one of the first imported cars, fancy cars, high speed that we ever saw. That's a bit of a history with regards to the car manufacturing scenario in Chennai. Yeah. So next, let's go on to our next question. Still with the trivia. We'll go eventually to the presentation. So the first motorbike manufactured in India. This is not Chennai. We talked about the first motorbike manufactured in India. Does anyone know? Quickly, fastest fingers first. Go on. The sooner we get this done with, we will move to a presentation. First motor manufactured in India. First motorbike. Any idea? I'm sure this is much, much easier. It is not as complicated as the cars. So first motorbikes manufactured in India. If I don't get a response within the next 5 seconds, I will be putting my answer. Oh, got a great answer that's come through. Awesome. That's Royal Enfield. That is right. Royal Enfield was the first bike ever manufactured in India, and this started in Ennore. Thiruvatiur. So you're talking about Sri Paramatur now. When you look at it, it was Thiruvatiur, the Ennore belt, which was more automotive centric manufacturing that time. So we manufactured bikes and we manufactured cars in Vanderlood and we had manufactured trucks and buses in the Ashok then and now the Ashok Leyland. So yes, Bullet is the brand. Once again, you're right. And does anyone know another trivia connect to the Bullet? I know one or two people here who own Bullet. So if you've not known this fact, here we go. This is some great news. Royal Enfield is the oldest motorcycle manufacturer in Chennai, beginning in Thiruvatiur 1955. But that is not the best trivia. But look at the statement at the bottom. It is the world's oldest motorcycle brand still being manufactured. So Royal Enfield is the world's oldest brand which is still being manufactured. This is not Triumph, yeah, not the Harley Davidsons. You talk about any fancy bikes that are there now, none of them are part of that. So this is Bullet again, something that we can be proud about. Yeah. All right. So that's with the trivia. Let's move on to a presentation. Here we go. This is the agenda, and this is how we would progress to make my presentation for today. Once again, thank you. In terms of introduction, my name is Selwyn Thomas. I'm Executive Director for Talent Gap Consulting International. Our company is based out of New Zealand, Australia, and in India. And we got regional representatives in Europe as well as the Northern American region. So I provide leadership, and I'm based out of Chennai in Australia and New Zealand. I travel a lot. So that's regards to me. And then with regard to talent and consulting, we are a talent management company, and we work within the talent space. We work globally, and it is great to be associated within the automotive sector, and that is where much of the pain is. And before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge the support that has been extended by Tamil Nadu Auto Skills, especially the managing director, Mr. Kashi Vishwanathan, who's always been very, very supportive and encouraging from the very first time I shared and I expressed the idea. I said, go, go, go. And he said, let's do, even you wouldn't mind doing it as a co-host. So that has been a support. And not only that, Vanchi and Kashi would show up anytime that I would call them up, to meet international delegations or come to the office, no prior appointment and just say 11, just say 8, whatever time, they will make sure that they'll be there. The awesome people. That's the kind of support we need. And again, thanking you again, Tamil Auto Skills, and also the leadership team for supporting us with this. That is introduction. So slightly expanding our introduction to more in terms of what Talent Tribe does in this space. We have an organization called GASA, which is Global Auto Skills, yeah, Alliance. That's GASA, and we'll talk more about this slide later because I need to give you more inputs, and that is why we are here. It's not about me; it is about the subject that we need to understand. I need to present. So just hold on to this slide, and just to letting you know. Within Talent Tribe, we've got GASA, which is again an international organization, which is specifically catering to the global auto skill shortage through the Global Auto Skill Alliance. What we do is world-class training, skilled global workforce, industry partnership, innovation, excellence. All of these are work in progress. So we have started and we are progressing. Thanks for the support once again by Tamil Auto Skills. We are taking baby steps and we are getting there. All right. So we'll come back to this slide. So I know you guys are waiting for more inputs. Now, let's get us started with the knowledge side of it. Understanding global talent map. Like I said, this is not about shortage of skills within India, and we know there's a shortage of talent or there's an abundant talent. So both are coexisting in India, which means we have talent, but not the right talent. So we'll talk about that later. But let's understand a global talent map. So why is there a global talent shortage, which is much, 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 much acute than what it is in India? So this is the slide that I want to address. Global talent map and the shortage is happening is due to one reason, which is they have an aging workforce. Now, I need to give a little bit more of insight into aging workforce. Is not like every country's got people and everyone giving birth to babies, and that all happened. So that's not what is contributing to the aging workforce. What is happening globally is that the population are dwindling. The number of people, and if you take the statistics, the census, many countries other than India and to an extent China, majority of the countries, the population is dwindling. So there's less number of people who are ready to work as ever that they've been in the workforce prior, because the population is less and therefore there's less number of people available for work. And that's one of the reasons why they offer automation. They want to bring in robotics, AI, and all of that is more out of a necessity because they don't have people enough to do that. One, the reduced population. Number two, the flight of population. The people within their own countries move to other countries. They move to another country in seek of jobs, better life, or to understand and be more adventurous, to feel the culture. And that's very normal within the Western economy. So there is flight of people and the population dwindles. Now, the economy has to grow. There's not a single country where they don't want the economy to grow. So if the economy has to grow, productivity has to go up, the output GDP has to go up, but the population is going down. Therefore, all of them have a problem. They need to grow, they need people to work, but the local population is not there. They're not good enough. The numbers are not stacking up to meet those needs that they need to make those production possible. So that is why there's a problem within the Western world. So aging workforce, because the workforce do not retire. Many of these countries don't have a retirement age, but they keep working and working because there's a need to do. They want to be active, and there's money to earn. But more than anything else, there's a labor shortage, and there's opportunities for employment which keeps them going. So this is what is contributing to the talent shortage, not within the auto sector in general. So once again, to reiterate, The population is dwindling, the local population is taking flight or they move to different countries. And yeah, and number three, the economy has to grow, and therefore they need more manpower, they need more people, but unfortunately they don't get those people within their own countries. And that is why people like us, people like those in India, we have an opportunity to fix this gap. So we're just talking about the general talent gap that we have. Now, let's look at the opportunity that we have. Contrary, look at India. India's got some great youth in some great numbers that is available for us. One of the statistics, which is again Tamil Nadu centric, is a fact more than 47 of women workforce employed across the nation India are in Tamil Nadu. Almost half of the women workforce are based out of Tamil Nadu. And that's not the only data. The number of more than 60% of our youth are young. So let's look at the real statistics. I don't want to make up on my own. India has more than 50% of its population below the age of 25. Imagine as against the numbers the scenario that I painted with what's happening internationally, globally among the Western economies. The population is going down. There's an aging workforce, but in India, 50% of its population are below the age of 25, more than 65 below the age of 35. The average age of an Indian is 29 years compared to 37 for China and 48 for Japan. I'm just picking two countries, but it's a global problem. India is the only country which has got wealth of talent. When I say talent, young people, and who look overseas when people want to employ Indians, they want to invest in people. So they're not going to invest in people who are 50 or 60-year old. They want to invest in people who are in this age group. They're able to train them, take them on board, give them careers so that they will pay back within the next 30, 40 years. They'll stay and they'll contribute to the economy and the growth of the nation. So India is a gold mine for those countries. Look, there's no other option. There is no other option. No other country gives you this wealth of workforce which is young and which is educated, which is talented, English speaking, majority of them. I'll come to the skills. But even just on those two and on those few factors that I mentioned, India is sitting on a gold mine. We have wealth of talent and great people, intelligent people, hardworking, and why would anyone not come? So that's why we see a lot of people come towards India, and we also see a lot of people hiring people from India and get them across overseas. Now we look at the situation how this works, but look at this data. This one slide is enough to bring to market India in the global destination. Moving on, let's get more specific to Tamil Nadu and what kind of output we have. So, look here, before we go to Tamil Nadu, let's look at this number. India produces approximately 10 million graduates annually. 10 million, 1 crore graduates. Who on earth can produce this number? Including about 1.5 million engineering graduates. So we have 1 crore of graduates, educated people who come out each year, and then out of that we have 1.5 million, about 15 lakh graduates, engineering graduates coming out of the technical institutions each year. Look at that number. Isn't that awesome? I'm not surprised, and I don't think any of us should be surprised. But don't forget the fact this is the talent that people are now will come after us. And we'll talk about later what we can do in order to create that pipeline. So I know we need talent for India. Let's not forget we also need to get some talent, international, so that we learn the international ways of working, and there's more access to R&D. All right. So one of the statistics I'd like to present. Let's talk about more Tamil Nadu specific data. So Tamil Nadu produces highest number of graduates, engineering graduates in India. 2.5 to 3 lakhs graduates we add annually. 17% of India's total engineers come from Tamil Nadu. 17%, you know. So isn't that great? So we probably are the highest number of engineering colleges ever in this whole nation. You would find them in Tamil Nadu. So we get a lot of these engineers coming out of Tamil Nadu. Great guys, mostly English speaking, hardworking and skilled. But look at the placement trends. All right, we have to take it with a bit of a balance. 20 to 28% of these engineering graduates get placed through campus placement. And then thereafter, there's a 10 or 15 people who get placed after. So we clearly about close to about 45 to 50 get placed out of this huge number of 2.5 to 3 lakhs. We're just talking about engineering graduates, not even looking at the diploma, which is much, much bigger, if you ask me. So this is the data that I'm presenting. Again, those who join, just like to remind you, if you have any questions or if you want to add more information, feel free to put on your comments there if you're on YouTube or Facebook, and then we will be able to bring that up on screen, and then I may be able to add or clarify or address your questions. So that's the data that we have. So that's about Tamil Nadu. So there are parts to my presentation. This is my presentation in terms of what is happening globally in terms of general shortage of skills, is contributing to that. And we're also looking at what is happening in India, just the opposite, where we got abundant talent, the numbers, the qualified, the English speaking, and all of that. So that is what I have presented so far. Moving on, let's get more into the specifics of today's subject for discussion or presentation. We're now talking about what about global order skills. Yeah, so I'm going to take a 5 second to have a glass of water. And yeah, I don't mind if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please engage by typing, and I'll bring that up on screen. And if you think that Mohammed made some great point, yeah, don't be shy. Say that. That's a good point. Or you may say you're surprised with the data, or you may even challenge me with the data, saying that the data is probably not right. Whatever. So don't be shy. Please remain engaged. Please type in your comments through Facebook and YouTube, and I will address that to the best of my knowledge. All right, moving on. So we come to, but what about global order skills? So we're talking about order skills now. Look, I'm not a technical guy. I'm not an engineer, but I'm a HR person, and we're talking about talent. So I will share the information to the best of my knowledge. So I wouldn't get too technical. But what is causing a major reason for this talent shortage is how the cars, you're talking about cars have moved from one to another. They've transitioned. If you wind back 5 years ago, the cars were still smarter. You had computers that were on board, which helped cars to navigate, and it helped cars to keep control of the mechanical parts, the heat, the fuel, and the distance, and all of that. So, in essence, the computer was a small part of a massive car, mechanical car, automobile, which was there. So that was, in essence, where the automobile car manufacturers transitioned and moved up to a point where the computers were on board into the mechanical cars. So up to that point, that is fine. The journey was in line. So the steps were one expansion, one avenue, and then updating and upgrading the technology, and that's all perfect. It's from the fuel meters. The older ones had the manual meters, the pre-call meters, and then we have the digital meters, and then we get computers. So all of that is great. So that is what happened with the cars, and then came a complete transition, which is the electronic EVs. EVs are completely different. They're still cars and they still drive people around. It's still got four wheels and a steering, but it is a computer now which is driving the car. It is not the engine. In the past, it was the engine that was driving the car, and computers were just the software. And when I say computer, the software were just a very small component which was helping the cars navigate, more the driver to get hold of what he's doing and to navigate that. But with the EVs, there's a complete shift. It's no longer the car with a computer as a backup technology, or as not the backup technology that is in the background, but here the technology with the EVs, the computer, the software is come to the forefront. It is the software and the computers and the electronic and electrical systems which is driving the car. So it's a complete shift. It's no longer the computer is the back end, the computer is in the front end. So it is the computer which drives the car. So that's why we talk about cars. I'm sure you're there in the automotive sector more than me. We hear about autonomous driving. Autonomous driving, you heard about those, right? Google about cars. China, we worked with China a few years ago, and they were looking for research scholars within autonomous driving. I don't want to bring names here, but the Chinese have really made great progress in that area. Autonomous driving is when cars can drive on their own without any inputs from the driver as such, so he can sit. And we have a car back at home, and where I come from, that car can drive on its own from a car park. When I come out of our restaurant, and the valet driver does not have to bring the car, just use the phone, and the car will get started and it'll drive on its own, come to the front, and you just want to hop in and move. So you guys know more than me. So that's how it is transitioned from an onboard computer that was helping cars to navigate. Now it is the computers which is driving the cars. So needless to say that there's a complete transition of skills, right? So it was extremely mechanical. The ICE, as we may call, internal combustion engines, are not there anymore. You don't find them. So when I first saw the Tesla car displayed in Australia, and there was no car, they put the chassis, and all I can see was four tires, four motors, and the steering wheel, and nothing. It was bare bone, and I couldn't think of a situation where there's going to be a car, there's not going to be any engine in the hood, and there's not going to be anything at the back. That was when I first saw the bare bone skeleton of a Tesla, even before they started bringing it up as a car. So that's how it's changed. There's no longer engines, there's motor, there's more technology that drives the car, and that has completely transitioned and transformed the traditional skill sets. That is why we no longer find automobile engineering as a stream in India. They may still be, and unfortunate for them, that's not going to help them anymore, because those engines are not going to be there. It will be there for the next few years, where these cars will eventually downscale, and even those current people who work in those technology, in those IC engines, we have more people than we need. So what has contributed, like I said, the transition has happened. We moved to a newer technology, way different from the traditional car. So like I said, the traditional car incrementally grew from the first Ford car to that, to progress to come to a point where we are. It was just baby steps and natural steps, but EV was a disruptor. It's completely different. So the skill sets that were there in the automobile ICE sector cannot be straight away applied here within the EV sector, because the skill sets are extremely different and not the same. Yeah. So there is an element of mechanical skills that are required, which is got very similar if you talk about the chassis and the four wheels, and to an element the steering. Other than that, there's nothing that is common. There's nothing that is common. So, but the skill set is where it has completely changed. So you now understand where this presentation is heading. We talked about general skills, talked about opportunity in India. We talked about how the automobile technology has changed from ICE to EV, and how those skills are completely to be very try not to be strong, it's almost like those skills are irrelevant anymore. We need newer skills, so which means, like I said, we didn't have an incremental growth, but the technology is just going leaps and bounds. To look at the cars, Mahindra launches every 3 months with a new car. Tata is launching a new model, new variant. Overseas, you don't have to mention. They're not just the cosmetics that they're changing, the technology, the battery, the handling, everything is changing. So technology is advancing at a greater space, but the talent, we do not have the talent that will keep up with that pace. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying? We don't have skills coming out of the engineering colleges to be employable within the EV sector as we speak. Even if they make the transition and come to a point where they start working, but the speed at which the EV technology grows, you have to be constantly growing, and keep yourself abreast. It is growing at a great speed, and that is why we're having a breakdown of talent. It is great that Tamil Nadu Auto Skills is engaged. It is great that we see a number of smaller institutions and training institutions that are involved, and we are contributing a bit towards the EV. But just be careful. We need to be very agile. We have to be at a great learning, great, just be connect with the research community, connect with the universities, connect with the international communities, and see and understand what is happening there, so that we can quickly bring in those curriculum and be able to train these people that they are employable, because cars will quickly transition and come with new models in order to compete with the other models, especially those coming from overseas. They will. But in order to make those changes, we need our people to also keep up pace. And also, yeah, there's more I can do, but I'll just go on to share the next slide. Look, just giving you the EV skill pressure by country. I'm sure some of you already are familiar. And India, these are by 2030. uh, yeah, 2 lakh EV skilled workers needed in India only. UK major EV technical gap emerging. Yes, UK has been manufacturing automobiles, like most of the technology someone mentioned, Royal Enfield, Ambassador, Rover, and all of these actually came from the UK, and they still got them growing. The LJR that we started in Ranipur is also all British companies. The Jaguars, Land Rovers, they are. So they had manufacturing automobiles, which is ICE, but they're all quickly transforming to the EV sector, and therefore there's a huge gap emerging in UK. In Australia, there's not much manufacturing even there. 21,000 plus technicians are required. That's our backyard, and we know this is happening. This is going to come and hurt us big time. In Germany, large scale reskilling from ICE to EV roles. Germany has been really good. They've anticipated, and they look. Germany has been one of the major automobile manufacturing countries in the world, so they know it's going to come and hit them big time. It's been one of the massive drivers of their economy. If they don't do this now, they will perish. Therefore, they have to be uh, quickly to transform and do those reskilling, keep their employees warm and to be employed. So there's a great push from Germany, and they're doing well. But if you look at Europe as a whole, their EV workforce scaling towards 1.5 million again. And we know that the Danish people were here, Tamil Nadu Auto Skill were also involved. And they're also, yeah, there's a lot of great push from the Nordic and the EU nations, because of the green mandate that they signed up for. They want sustainable technology, and they promote all of that. So EV is very much aligned to that. So there's a lot of funding, there's a lot of push within the Europe. US acute shortages in battery engineers. US, we know there's a lot of workforce that comes from migration from the South American nations, from India, and all the people. So they really don't have a talent, sorry, the skill short. They do not have people shortage as such, workforce shortage as such, but they don't have the right people who have those right skills. So US, they've got major shortages, the battery engineering and all of that. So if you look, Canada has also got a similar problem, and China and South Korea also have major battery talent competition. So looking at this slide, you already get some insights. When we talk about ICE, we talk about automobile engines. And engine is all about the carburetor, if you name it, I'm not an engineer, but it's all very mechanical. The moment you get into EV, it gets extremely specialized. You get the motors, the batteries, the communications, between the satellite, and because they all get driven by through using those navigation systems. And we got the ADAS, the automatic sensing, which stops those cars. So each are great technologies, but each of them have got so much of science and so much of inputs that are required from a talent space. So I don't think we will ever be in a position where we can say EV skills are like this. So we have an automobile engineer who will come and can be placed within the EV within the EV sector. That's not going to happen. EV is extremely specialized, so we may have to produce engineers, we may have to produce workforce that are specifically trained for those sectoral inputs within the EV industry. And as you can see, I'm struggling with the engineering terminology. So the motors, the traction, or there's a T word that does the which manages the movement of the wheels through the motors. That is separate. And then we've got the navigation working through the satellites. Then we've got the internal sensing of the safety and the security protocol and the braking. All the each are massive areas where there's a big requirement. So nowhere in these countries that I know, that I'm familiar and I work with, they have they come back and say we need EV skill sets. No, they'll come and ask you for specific. Can you give us more battery engineers? Can you give me more? The satellite engineers. Can you give me that engineers? Extremely specific. And give an example. The ADAS is an automatic braking system. It's made mandatory in many countries. So the cars are now manufactured with that. If the ADAS is not working well, the cars will break and it won't move. It's all done through a camera sensing using a software. So that is an extremely specific area where many countries are anticipating huge talent shortages because it's going to stop cars. Now, it's not something massive that you need a workshop that needs to fix it. No, it needs to have a software update or a camera cleaning or some configuration. But they say the cars are across the nation, but we need someone to go and fix it. So era skills are something is really going to come up. It's just an example how the talent skills within AV is going to be extremely specific. Let's move on. And then, like I said, this slide here is what we put together. So by 2030, we're going to have 4.3 million skilled workers shortage. Yeah, this is the global shortage. By 2.6 million shortage by 2026 now, which is almost slightly more than half of the shortage is now. We're talking about global shortages, yeah? And 4.3 million by 2030 is already there. And what is contributing to that shortage is the number of vehicles that hit the road. Like actually, as you can see, there are 20 million EVs per year that's being added. So there is a rapid growth in that space within that area. And therefore, like I said, this is a technology that's extremely new. We've not had a curriculum. We've not had people trained to support this. The manufacturers made beautiful cars. That the marketing and the sales guy have sold these cars, done a great job. But when it comes to maintenance, when it comes to service, we are going to have a huge problem. Don't want to name a two-wheeler in India who went ahead first, sold it very well, and people were very frustrated because in the past they'll take it to local mechanic if they had trouble. But with this, nobody can touch it because you need a specific knowledge related to that particular vehicle, and that can only come from the manufacturer. So this is creating huge challenges within the service sector, great opportunity for people. So let's look at the right side of the slide. So those are some of the sectors that are broken within the EV manufacturing side of it. So we've got critical skill gaps are within the battery technology, and you also got the automotive software and AI, which actually drives the car, be it autonomous driving or the safety. And power electronics, you guys know that's where the mechatronics come into play, and power electronics. Then advanced manufacturing. Manufacturing itself is very different. In the past, automobile, the ICE does not have to be in a very sterile manufacturing area. I've been associated with some of the in early part of my career manufacturing automobile industries, and not a sterile, reasonably clean, but people would put their hands, and it's not dust free and anything like that. But you're talking about advanced manufacturing because it is now electronically controlled manufacturing, these highly sophisticated cars. So therefore, this is clean, and therefore there's advanced manufacturing. There are a lot of robotics involved. The battery is itself in a closed case, and it's all done through a very advanced manufacturing. Yeah, have a look at what happens within Mahindra. Look at the videos, and even BYD. There are videos that you will see how sophisticated these manufacturing lines are far from what the earlier ambassadors and the Fiat cars were manufacturing manually, the assembly lines, as against how the newer cars are being manufactured. So advanced, which means we need a lot of skills in maintaining those advanced, the robotic arm, the quality inspection, looking at those the screens, and ensuring that the it's all done as per the specification. So with the robotics, if you don't see that there's an error, quickly you'll get a line of products that are not as per specifications. So there's a lot of completely different skill sets. Never before we had these kind of skill sets within the automobile sector. So this is where the challenges are. These are the critical skill gaps. So once again, emphasize the battery technology, automotive software, power electronics, advanced manufacturing. All right. So let me get into more granular detail. As I said before, any questions, any insights you want to add, please feel free to type in as part of your comments, and we'll bring that up on our screen. All right. Getting more into what is creating these shortage of skills. The global challenge by 2030, the global automotive industry will significant shortages for future ready engineers driven by rapid EV adoption. We know it, right? I can see the number of petrol bunks that are shutting down. They don't want, yeah, nobody's installing new petrol bunks. So that's because lots of people are now adopting to EV technology and EV cars, and therefore you would find more EV chargers, and then of course we do have CNG and future hydrogen dispensation bunks that may come. But currently we're talking about 2030. There's a rapid transition from a normal automobile car to an EV. Sorry, it's still automobile, from an ICE car to an EV vehicle, and that's what is creating this global challenge. Shift towards software-defined vehicles. Like I said before, these are no longer driven by engines. These are now driven by software, and they have got massive control over how the car performs and how we efficient that can be done. So that's a complete shift from ICE, and expansion of battery manufacturing ecosystem. So one of the biggest component, the most expensive component in an EV is the battery. Like in the past, you would say you measure the efficiency of a car. People would buy a car by the mileage. So how much does your car give? It's 12 kilometers. My car gives you 14 kilometers, and they want to buy that for fuel efficiency. Apply the same in an EV. People buy an EV car because of the efficient battery. How far can it go? How long can it go without a recharge? How quickly can it get charged? So these are some of the expansion of battery manufacturing ecosystems that is also creating global challenges in these kind of skill sets. Automation and Industry 4.0 in automotive plants. This is what I spoke to you about. There's a large influence of robotics in the EV manufacturing. It's all highly automated, given the nature of the car, which is electronic and all of that. So, but we still need people to maintain and manage those automation and automotive plants. So there's a huge skill gap that is there. So let's not think about just the cars and the EV skills around that. Don't forget the fact we need people to manage and maintain those plants in order to serve these EV manufacturing. That's a critical component. So those of you, the training providers in the academic institutions, and anyone who's associated with the talent space, let's not forget that that's a critical component. And the rising demand for automotive software, electronics, and AI. This is a fast changing space. The software will keep, the cars, just like our computers, the software will need to be updated. If you don't update it, your car's going to have trouble. It's going to malfunction. It's not going to give the right. So the cars would have to be, or they are as it is manufactured, which will automatically update. And I've seen in my own car overseas, it will automatically update. But there'll be times that won't do well, or there'll be times when the manufacturer will say, you can't do an automatic update download. You have to bring it to the car dealer in order to do a hardware update, software update. So these are some of the things that watch out. So this is software skills that are required within the EV. So let's not apply the mechanical mindset into the manufacturing of EV. That's a massive shift. I've seen a lot of technical training institutions. I've seen a lot of academic. You still got those training centers and the industrial sheds. That is what is happening. But I also feel that most of these training, the skill gaps, the upskilling and the reskilling must happen within the software kind of scenario where offices, computers, and most a lot of designing R&D happens. So that is also part. That should also be part of the optics. For me, that optics is not there. You talk about EV, just goes back to the shop floor where there's still hands manufacturing and getting trained in terms of assembly. But don't forget the fact there's software and electronics and AI that is involved. So the speed of technology change, as I already said, is outpacing the engineering talent pipeline globally. By the time you train someone, the the technology is moved to the next step. So this calls for constant updation. We like it or not, that's a matter of fact. We have to live with that. So technical institutions, academics, it is important that you keep your relationship going with the manufacturers, with the universities, with the R&D folks. So those are the people who would help you constantly update your knowledge to keep up with these the skill gaps, and you keep the pipeline going. Without that, I don't think, well, no, many of us would succeed. All right, so let's get to the specific skill sets now. Again, I'll say with the caveat that I'm not a technical guy, so but these are research information that I have managed to pull it up. So these are few groups that I put. Engineering skills most in demand would be EV and battery engineering, battery chemistry and pack design, power electronics and charging systems. Let's not forget the charging systems also need people. The design, the evolution of the charging stations, and how we make, just like the fuel pumps, how how best we can do it. Can we do it in a restaurant? Can we do it in a car park? All of these calls for different charging systems. So yeah, battery management systems. Then, like I said, the automotive software engineering, embedded systems, vehicle control software, cybersecurity, and AI. Let's not forget cybersecurity. There will be a time when there'll be no speed tickets through the cameras. The police would know just by looking at the data, and also if your car gets stolen, it can be easily tracked. But there's also privacy issues that comes along with it. So there is cybersecurity and the AI skills, and those also need to be trained. So once again, let's not try and wear the technical hat related to just the mechanical side of the EV. We need to go much more than that. And like I said, once again, get me. I need to. I'm hoping that I'll be proved wrong. Unfortunately, most of those institutions that I'm looking at, who's working within the EV skill, are still looking at a work in a workplace in a shed, which is typically a manufacturing setup. Not necessarily. 80% of that will happen outside the manufacturing side in terms of systems update and all of what I've seen here. And electronics and system integration. Yes, at the end of the day, electronics is what will run the car. There is mechanical elements, which is that the motors have to go and the tires, the wheels have to spin. So the mechatronics, sensors and control systems, advanced vehicle architecture. So these are where more skills are in demand, will be in demand. We're looking at 2030, folks. We're not looking at 2026. So these are the skills that are going to be in demand. And also let's not forget, like I said, manufacturing and industrial engineering gaps. So it's just not about the technology and the skill sets that go into the into the car, but those that actually manufactures those EV cars. Like, there's a growing demand for engineers in robotics and automation. I did speak about that. Smart manufacturing, yes. Industrial IoT, Internet of Things, absolutely game changer. Quality engineering, like I said, how a small specification that you miss in a robotic can mess up your quality. And supply chain and manufacturing analytics, absolutely great skill set that, again, I don't hear much of that. Supply chain and manufacturing analytics, most of us digitally managed. So this is, supply chain is also a game changer when it comes to EV, when all of this can be integrated. All right. So one more insight into the skill gaps, the core talent gap, slightly making it more slightly broader. The shortage is not about the numbers; it is about the skill match. India has got the numbers. Like I said, we've got enormous talent, but we do not have the right talent. We saw those engineers that come out each year. We've got abundant engineers. We've got lots of people come, quality people in terms of education, quality people in terms of age. But what is missing is the right input. They have not had the right training, the right curriculum. So what we're looking for are engineers who combine mechanical plus electrical. We need electronics plus software. We need manufacturing plus data, and we need engineering plus sustainability. These are what our future of engineering skills are going to be. As I put that on red, the future engineers are just not specific categorized skill set, but they're more of a multidisciplinary engineering. So we said each of these areas, sectors are extremely specific, but within that you need to be multi-specialized. All right. And also in terms of strategic implications for industry, invest, how do we resolve? We're looking at what can be done. Invest in reskilling existing engineers. Morally, we are obliged. There are lots of people who were employed within the ICE industries. Now we can't just dump them because we move to an EV space. So we need to reskill these existing engineers, and we need to sustain them, keep them going. And we need to build industry academia partnership. Extremely, extremely important. I made this point earlier. Whatever comes from the manufacturer, that's not enough, because your input from a manufacturer will just be related to that particular one technology of that car that he manufactures, but is not good enough. If you have a good partnership with academia, they would be doing a lot of R&D. They'll be connecting with a lot of resources, and they will have updated knowledge, the future skills and future development that's coming. I'll show you some photos towards the end and what we have done, just to give you an idea. So that's important. Then create EV and mobility focused curricula. The same point. Yeah, we know that in India and also overseas, it takes a lot of time for the academia to move from one to the other. To update the curriculum takes a long time. Thankfully, the self-financing, autonomous colleges have got the freedom to make those changes and do all of that on their own, and they're doing reasonably well. But that has to be done. It has to be very agile. The curriculum that is done now for EV should not be and may not be that can be transferred to the next year, because technology would have changed. And that is why the International Industry Academy partnership is extremely important. And establish engineering capability centers. Just don't focus on your manufacturing. If you're a manufacturing or OEM, we need to establish engineering capability centers to constantly look at the R&D, the upskilling and cross-skilling and all of that. And then countries and organizations that align education, industry, and government demand will become engineering talent hubs. They'll become automotive R&D centers, global mobility innovation ecosystems. Yeah. So I'm just making a blanket statement here. The countries, for them to succeed, the great success that we had in Sri Perambuttur, the great success Tamil Nadu has had in the automotive sector, in order to sustain that, it is important that we do this. We have engineering talent hubs, which I believe we already have, but we need to constantly be agile and keep moving. We need automotive R&D centers. I'm not too sure. It is the industry that is doing R&D, but I'm not too sure. We've got automotive R&D centers, which in the government or any sectoral investment is there. just to do R&D as a whole, not to a specific brand or a market. And then global mobility innovation ecosystems is where there's a lot of cross collaboration. There's an institutional tie-up, there's an OEM, there's a manufacturing tie-up globally, because whether you like it or not, we are 1 or 2 years behind the international technology. So by the time they manufacture, later we come to know and we start manufacturing. So that need to speed it up. That can only happen through global mobility innovation ecosystem. So that is what we are suggesting what could happen. So this in a nutshell is what we have provided here and I have provided. Going back to where we sit and I sit, like I said, Global Auto Skill Alliance, GASA, sits under Talent Lab Consulting. This is work in progress. Like I said, I'll never be able to say we've done everything in EV, because nobody can make that statement, because the canvas is so fast changing, forever it'll be changing. So it is our desire, and keep watching us, keep following us. We will build world-class training centers, especially for advanced EV battery and mobility technologies, and we will build skilled global workforce. We are an international company, and one of our talent pipelines, in fact, our biggest talent pipeline was international, and we will keep that pipeline busy. So we'll work with the international community to get those skills trained here. And one other thing is those companies can come here and they can deploy R&D centers where the skills can remain here and still be able to work and contribute to those international brands. And then industry partnership, yes, we have reasonable relationship, and we are establishing those as a priority. And then innovation excellence, like I said, this is a great area. Nobody can sit and be in a comfort zone. I said we've done all of this, and we can go. So this is what we are doing. So we would love for each of you to partner with us, engage with us, talk to us, how we can collaboratively build this. So I can't do it on my own. My organization can't do it on my own. Tamil Auto Skills is partnering with us, and any of you here, the academic institution, or if you're an expert in EV technology, or we're not talking about size, we're talking about capability. Anyone can engage with us, look at how we can build and work through the system here. So I'm just going to move on to another camera. So this is my fallback camera. So yeah, so that's where we are. And then last of all, we come almost to the close. I do not know how many people know the story, the world's fastest Indian. So the Indian is the name of the bike. He's not an Indian. This is a story that happened in the country that I come from, in New Zealand. So the New Zealand, this is the story of Bert Munro. He, for a very, very long time, for 30 years and over, he held the record for the world's fastest bike. But he built a bike. The bike that he bought in New Zealand is an old, like slightly more than a bicycle. He was born in the late 18th century. Then he lived up to the 1960s and all of that, and he did all of that. And the end story, at the age of 68, he managed to break the record. The poor man sold everything. His wife divorced him. I'm not saying that's a good story, but yeah, he was so passionate. He went after it, and he made sure he did all of that. So why I'm saying this is that we need to be passionate about the industry that we are there. I got a message from Kashi this morning, the first mail that I saw. He's so much there, and he says, let's do this, brother. We need to get this on board. We need more traction and all of that. Just ignore what's in your little screen that popping, that's a fallback camera. So yeah, so I get a lot of inspiration from this guy. There's also another story. New Zealand and Australia are very innovative people. They may not be manufacturing, but do not ignore their R&D capabilities. Mahindra's got an R&D with Auckland University in New Zealand. But when it comes to innovation, per capita, per capita, per capita, if you see, they make the largest contribution. You don't have to always wear the hat that US and UK comes with inventions. Not true. I'm going to read out a few, the modern inventions. The pacemaker, Australia. The black box in the plane, Australia. The cochlear implant, which makes hearing possible, Australia. Wi-Fi that we use, Australia. Yeah, Bluetooth, Australia. So there are a lot of inventions that we no longer look at this. We still talk about Edison and the invention that he made with the light bulb. So we have an extremely innovative community, which is not manufacturing, but extremely innovative, very engineering focused, a lot of R&D, and that is the community that we are focused. And feel free to use us and to grow in that in order to build relationship within those two innovative countries. And why do I say that? Because I also have a role as the Southern India chapter head of India National Business Council. So that is my role, and that is why I'm saying this in order to do justice. So it's not only doing justice, it's also I've got the capability in order to make this happen through this role. So this is something great for us. And like I said, I promised to share you some pictures, which I'll share now. A week ago, see an university partnership. That's IIT Madras and the University of Canterbury. And INZBC, we facilitated that tie-up. So IIT Madras, University of Canterbury, and with us here in Chennai, we are facilitating those kind of partnership. It's an MOU that was signed last week. So that's the kind of relationship that we can build, bringing strong academics to as part of our system, and then be able to do that. And we almost come to the end. I'm going to share one video again, going back to New Zealand, and then to share and display to you capability in terms of why this is important. Just bear with me as I try to bring this up. Yes, I'm going to rewind to a point where you'll see something which is just about a minute and not more. And what you see, don't worry about the audio. So keep looking at these visuals. This is Canterbury, the university that you saw, the guy gentleman who come and see. The sign up that we did with IIT Madras is this. This is happening in Canterbury, Christchurch, in New Zealand. And what are they presenting? It's a young team, an university level. And what is wrapped behind those? You will see that being unwrapped by the students. Watch that. There you go. Is the fastest EV car that they develop. They do not manufacture in New Zealand. They don't make EV cars, but there's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of R&D, and it's like 2 or 3 years ago, they were manufacturing one of the world's fastest EV cars. So that is the ecosystem that we can tap. We should become like that. These are just students, international students that are there, and it facilitates, the university facilitates. So it's so good for us to have these kind of tie-ups where it's very difficult to get knowledge from a manufacturer because they'll not want to give because they put a lot of money into that. But it's so much easier to get a tie-up through the universities, use their technology, and make use of what is available to them and make it easy. So that is what we have for you today. And with this, I'll stop. Hopefully, this session was engaging. And sorry about the camera that went dead. So here we go. If you have any questions, quickly you can ask. It's been quite a long session. I see that many of you have stuck around and stayed with us. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions. I'll hold on. Or if you have any feedback, just you can give it to me, and then we can bring that up on the screen, and let me know if there's any feedback for me to take back and what we can do better, or just as yeah, what I would like to share. So feel free. So 1 or 2 minutes. If you've got anything that you can share, you want to tell us, we want to put it on the screen for the community to know, whoever you are. Yeah, I would appreciate if you can type if you have the if you want to do it. So if you know in a Facebook and in YouTube, just type your comments and then we can bring it up on the screen. So if you have a question, you can do that as well. So yeah, I'll wait for 30 seconds more, um, and I'm hoping to see there will be someone who will want to ask questions, and then we can answer or just give us feedback, which is good for us. And yeah, So as we wait, let me know. And if there's none coming, so I would have to go and say thank you and goodbye. So if there's any last 30 seconds, if there are any messages that is being typed or want to share, let me know. Otherwise, this will be the end of the session. So thank you, folks. Thanks for joining. Thanks for staying with me so patiently. Hopefully, this was a useful session. This is going to be in YouTube and Facebook, which means this is on demand. You can go anytime and you can download or share it with any of your folks if you think this was worthwhile and this has been useful to you. So once again, thank you for your patience. Thank you for sticking around. And yeah, even at a later stage, please provide your feedback and let us know how you benefited or what can be done better. And lastly, again, thank you, Mr. Kashinathan, Kashi Vishwanathan, for your encouragement. And we would continue to provide this because he did say that continue to do this. We need more sectoral inputs through podcasts, which we will do. Thank you, sir. And thanks, Mike. Great insights. Thank you very much. Enjoyed it. Thank you, Mike. It's been my pleasure. And if there have been any mistakes or any errors, like I said, you may, my apologies. Like I said, I'm not a technical guy, I'm not an engineer in the least. I'm a HR guy, I'm a talent person. So uh, I think I've done to the best that I can. So thank you, Mike. And thank you, everyone. So great to be with you. And I think that the engagement is very encouraging that people stuck on for such a long time, for such a long session, which is just not normal. And I'm hoping with that, this has been a great session and you enjoyed it. So with that, adios until next time. And I say goodbye. All right. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Goodbye.